Tom Cogger was born on the 26th of June 1864 in Collins Street, Brighton. His family can be traced back to 1704, when Edward Cogger married Frances Grant in a village in Kent, England. His father Charles had immigrated to Australia in 1853 on board the Lady Flora and had worked for the Geological Survey Company of Victoria. In 1865, Tom's father purchased land at Mount Macedon, 65 kilometres northwest of Melbourne. This was land he had previously surveyed when working for the Geological Survey Company. The family moved from Brighton to Meredith, then Kyneton, and finally settling in Mount Macedon, where Charles built a home he called the Laurels. His father Charles had established a successful carriage service in 1876 with its base at the Laurels. Tom was an active member of the local community, including the Macedonian Amateur Dramatic Club, playing the main role in a farce, Chesterville Thinkin', in 1887, and again in another farce, Done on Both Sides, performed in 1889. Through his frequent visits to Government Cottage to pick up dignitaries for transport to the station, Tom became acquainted with Evelyn Cavalier, the daughter of widow Mrs. Sophie Cavalier, the head housekeeper at Government Cottage, where Evelyn worked. Thomas married Evelyn Sophia Cavalier in April 1891. Evelyn's family heritage is filled with colourful characters and historical significance. The family of John Cavalier, Evelyn's father, can be traced back to 1475 in France. His ancestors were originally from Normandy, where French Protestants or Huguenots were under cruel persecution in the 16th and 17th century. Family folklore has it that in 1681 Jacques Cavalier escaped persecution by travelling to the coast of France under a load of cabbages and then on to England. Evelyn's father was born in London in 1838 and followed other members of the family to Australia in the late 1850s. In 1861, John met Evelyn's mother, Anne Fletcher, not long after she arrived in Melbourne on the Utopia, carrying 203 single females. Her father passed away at the age of 35 in 1873 in New Zealand from tetanus. Evelyn's maternal grandfather, William Fletcher, was born in Scotland in 1791 and came from a long line of legal practitioners, mainly advocates. His great-great-grandmother was Mary Swinton, the daughter of Alexander Swinton, Lord Merrington, a famous Scottish judge. In 1651, Swinton fought on the side of the mainly Scottish royalist force of Charles II against Oliver Cromwell at the Battle of Worcester, where Swinton was captured and imprisoned. Swinton was a zealous Presbyterian opposed to the rule of the Catholic James II, Charles II's brother. In 1688, Protestant William III invaded England, where he took over power from James II. Swinton joined the supporters of William III with a halbert in his hand and as drunk as ale brandy could make him. Evelyn's grandfather, William Fletcher, joined the British Army, where he fought in the Peninsular War in the Iberian Peninsula. Then he joined the 25th Dragoons in India. William was discharged from the army in 1838 and returned to London, where he worked as a bookbinder until his death. His daughter, Anne Sophie Fletcher, married John Cavalier in 1862, and Evelyn was born in 1872. Thomas and Evelyn were married at the Church of the Good Shepherd in Mount Macedon, and the wedding breakfast at Government Cottage, with the best wishes of the Governor of Victoria, Lord Hopetoun. The couple took the afternoon train for a honeymoon at Cape Otway, However, the guests stayed on and enjoyed a fine supper with more singing and dancing until 4 a.m. when they finally retired home. Evelyn had married on her 19th birthday and was 3 months pregnant with her first child, Sybil Audrey. After their marriage, Evelyn was frequently mentioned in the social pages of the local Macedon papers, and Tom continued his work in the local community as secretary of the Upper Macedon Waterworks and an office holder in the local lodge. From 1891 to 1914, Sybil, Carl and Emil were born in Macedon. Then followed Frida, Rupert or Harry, Marjorie, Dulcie, Bertrand, Lawrence and finally Bernard in 1914, all born in Metcalfe or Kyneton. In 1901, Charles Cogger Sr. purchased 244 acres of land in Greenhill to be used as an adjustment property for his carriage service at Mount Macedon. It was there that Tom and Evelyn shifted to their new home they called Coolangatta. As an active member of the Gisborne Mounted Rifles, there are newspaper reports of his competing in shooting matches over the years, including his time at Greenhill. By 1910, the family was established at Greenhill and taking part in local community activities. There is a photo of Sybil, the eldest, as a member of the Metcalfe Rifle Club. In 1914, Emil, the third oldest, at the age of 19, was appointed to a junior teaching position in Footscray. This would have been a very proud moment for Thomas and Evelyn. The older children would have attended Kyneton High School, which was a 10-kilometre journey from Greenhill. At that time, there was a primary school at Greenhill, although no trace of it remains today. In May of that same year, Tom appeared at the Kyneton Court of Petty Sessions, and a verdict was found against him for a sum of £18 for goods delivered. Tom also had to pay costs and did not appear in court. That amount was about $500 in today's currency. 1916 was a very mixed year for Tom and Evelyn. In February, bushfires severely damaged their farm, and in April they celebrated their silver wedding anniversary. But tragedy struck with the death of Emil, passed away in a hospital in Surrey after a severe case of tonsillitis. He had been on active service in France when he was transferred back to the military hospital at Aldershot, where he died. During the war years, Evelyn and the girls were frequently working at fundraising events in and around Greenhill and Metcalfe. Evelyn was the pianist at functions such as Euchre and dance at Greenhill. Maud as Queen of the Peace at a dance held in Malmesbury Town Hall for the Patriotic Fund, and welcome home to 2 returned soldiers. In 1918, at the age of 54, Tom sold the farm at Greenhill and shifted to Druin, where he lived to the age of 72 when he passed away in 1936. Evelyn lived for another 4 years and died at Bethesda Hospital in Richmond, and is buried with Tom at Druin in an unmarked grave.